Hi. um, man, I probably should make a whole story out of this before I come and tell you every exciting tidbit, but then I guess it wouldn't be a channel. um, so I came here to tell you guys that last night I was going through the phone records because it wasn't that long ago that I had found these, because I mentioned the Go phone a long time ago for Renville Wellington and Kirk, but then just the other day I went back and found the phone records, which I showed you yesterday, but sorry, that light is funny on my glasses and it keeps doing funny things. Just a second. I can't see. What is going on? Okay, well, anyway, so I found these phone records and I was going through them, you guys, because I had Kirk's for a long time, what they give us as their phone records anyway. You guys, I don't know if you can see them. I will put them up to the screen so you can see them with your own eyes, or you can just believe me on it. But it's pretty serious stuff. The Go phone, I believe we established, I'd have to look back at my own, was taken out, I don't know, was it 2015? I don't know. Early 2015, I think. But anyway, when you start looking at the phone records and you see where there's one there at 11:57, and I have it highlighted with the red pen. I know it may not mean much to you because you can't really see it, but what I want to let you know is this. I went back and started looking at, because I thought I was going to see I was looking to match up Kirk's text with Renville Wellington text, and make a timeline. However, when I was doing that, I started noticing something, and that was that all the texts that were on the burner phone, the timing on Kirk's given phone, they weren't consistent with Renville Wellington, but they're consistent with Kimberly Pratt, transportation driver. So, for instance, at 11:57 and all the way down to where you see that other red mark, all the texts on Renville's, this burner Go phone, in red, and I mean, I can show you some more, but it might get kind of redundant. Everywhere I have them marked with red, all of these texts between this timeline, and this is on 4/14, by the way. I don't want to get my papers too mixed up, so let me quit shuffling papers. Plus, the noise probably isn't too pleasant. Anyway, you guys, so all through that, I mean, like I said, I'm not going to show you the whole thing. Every time there's a text to Kimberly Pratt on the 14th, 15th, because they only provide Kirk's phone records for the 14th and the 21st. So we don't know about all the other dates, the 18th and 19th and things like that. But the Go phone still has the dates of the 14th, 15th, and of course the 23rd in March, which we discussed yesterday. But on the given day that they gave us, the 14th, all of these match up with Kim Pratt being the transportation driver. And you guys, if you don't know the story as well as I do, or you're interested in what a big deal that is, I'm going to tell you what a big deal that is. Because all through the book, the Beautiful Ones book, Kim is the driver for Dan. If you see her on interview and this and that, she said that she was the driver, I believe, for, 13 years or something, because she was from 2006 to 2014. She said she worked under the Total Transportation LLC. And then in 2014, that LLC switched to Premier Transportation. So if you go listen, I took that from the snippets from Chris Wagner interviewing her online, and, I think that's where that tidbit came from, plus in the file. But anyway, then they go on to ask her about her cell phone number and why the old business card for Total Transport is found on the scene if she's been Premier Transport since 2014. The reason why that's all relevant is because when Dan says here on page 13 of the book, Prince's driver, Kim Pratt, picked me up at the airport in a big black Escalade, wearing a plastic diamond ring the size of a ring pop. Sometimes you got to fem it up, Pratt said. Being that Renville Wellington, the Canadian bodyguard, who nobody knows who he is, and Kim Pratt have the same phone number, and I mean, you can say I'm putting two and two together. But being that yesterday or the day that I showed the slideshow with Kirk being on video at the pharmacy with the bag with the pink in it and the pink emery boards, and there was lipstick found in the rooms. You know, I'm not saying it's good or bad or whatever it is, you guys, but there's cross-dressing and people playing roles. Now, it's not just that. I want to share with you guys something that I didn't see before either. Sorry, I have to do my fingers like that. There's so many papers and my hands are very dry. Pardon. On the morning of 4/14, what's really interesting when you look at Kirk Johnson's given phone records, which let me just say this. All through the PI file, they notate whose everybody's cell phone is, you know, T-Mobile or AT&T or this or that. I could show you, but again, I got to stop doing that. It takes too much time. And I could show you to make you believe me, or you could just trust that I've done the research. They say that Kirk Anthony Johnson had an AT&T cell phone, which is interesting because when you're looking at the text between him and Schulenberg, when they're taking the snippets of the phone, you can tell that it's not an AT&T phone. The other one that reads Verizon, they don't match up. Nothing matches up, you guys. And these are just, you know, things that when they promise to leave no stone unturned, I guess, you know, I picked up where they left off, and I hope you appreciate it. So, pardon me. 4:14 the morning of, I want you guys to notice something. Take a good look at this. Is Kirk Johnson's, what I wanted to say too on that phone thing was that the phone records that were given in the professional file are by Hawk Analytics, this made up phone company. It's another LLC, trust and believe, Hawk Analytics. So we don't get AT&T phone records, T-Mobile's, like nothing. There's all kinds of DEA records in there saying where they froze and requested all kinds of computer information and froze all this and that I can't explain, but my son can. Maybe I'll do a special show on that. Invite my son on. But anyway, so the phone records that they're given, they're sliced and diced too, but we got to go with what we're given. So they say that on the morning of 4/14, which is, you know, there was supposed to be the concert, right? There was already the concerts canceled on the 7th and the flu. And then they took the tickets down, I think, for the 14th, but then they went and put them up for sale. They offered refunds to whoever couldn't make it to the show or something like that, and then put the tickets back up for sale that next week. It was either with the week of the 14th or the 21st. Anyway, check out how on the morning of 4/14, it's really interesting that 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, the very first 12 texts that Kirk gets, they're all incoming texts, okay? Just take a look real quick. You can take a screenshot if you want. You see how those are all incoming texts from those various people? Don't you think that that's a little odd? Like maybe everybody's calling to let him know the same piece of information or something like that. It's just odd. You could say he's sleeping or whatever, but if your phone's going off that much and they're all incoming, that's just odd. And then when he starts texting back, Kirk, the first person he texts back is Jeff Villar from Let's Roll Film and Video. So, you know, they had to get something rolling. The next person that he started communicating with was Monique Linder from Oh My God Media Solutions, which I believe is where I found Natalia Phillips' bio, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to say that for sure, but I'm pretty sure that's where I found it because otherwise I wouldn't have found it. So he's calling Let's Roll Film and Video after all these incoming texts. There's Monique Linder from the Oh My God Media Solutions. Then there's Marilyn Coulter from Bremer Bank. His ex-wife a bunch of times. The Media Solutions a bunch of times. Then he starts texting Josh Welton. and then Kim Pratt, but it appears on here as Renville Wellington. So then he starts calling the driver. I'm not going to get into all of what went on there, but the first person that Kirk texted on the 14th from Moline after the overdose there was Kim also. So whether Kim and Renville are the same person, whether there's two of each, because I keep telling you guys, it's total invasion of the body snatchers business over there at the compound, Paisley Park, that I think that everybody should stop going to immediately. I'm just going to say right off rip, me, 38 years worth. I told you guys, if you listened, I never went. My daughter did. I could have went with her. It's just, like I said, the same reason I don't go to, grave sites and stuff like that. I understand righteous people and ancestors and things like that do in Israel and Judaism. And it's just, I wasn't brought up that way. I'm respectful of people that do it. I just didn't do it because I felt like the soul wasn't there. And so that's why I never went to Paisley Park. But I'm just saying, it's a big money making, you guys, it's, we all love who we believe. We were consuming all this music of Prince Rogers Nelson, but then when these dirty deeds done dirt cheap were done, you guys, it's not. I want to also tell you guys some other stuff today, and I hope that you listen. But before I do, just, you should stop going there. You should boycott it because it's just money making to get your, just think about it. They're selling an image. It is very much golden calf type stuff. And I'm not here saying you're bad or you're this or that. Everybody wants to know, but because they love him so much, you want to be closer, but you have to believe what I'm telling you. And that is that in my life after life, he told me that he needed to find a way to show himself, that he knew in his soul, like he would hear this voice too that would tell him who he was or something like that. But he couldn't say it contractually, or he didn't believe it or something like that. But when he told me, I was like, man, I'll tell. But of course I didn't remember. And here we are today. And now I do. So I'm going to tell you some more stuff on that later. But before I do, I'm going to get back to some other things. What's very important to you guys is not just those types of things. This is the query. As I've discussed with you guys before, Minnesota has what's called the Safe Script program. It is their narcotics awareness. You don't get away with writing scripts, whether in 2016 or now. And I read those some of those statistics to you on one of those videos. I don't remember which one. How in 2015 and 2016 the medications rates were skyrocketing and then dropped down in 2016 and this and that and the other. And also when I discussed with you the clandestine pill labs that they have that they were shutting down, where they were, well, this was in California, but easily done in Minnesota too, where people would write prescriptions and then have homeless people fill the prescriptions and pay them and this and that. And to go along with that, when you do read through the incident reports, the 911 calls, there's actually a report in there where they talk about dropping somebody off at a homeless shelter. I'll have to go through and double check on that. I never want to misquote. But also, I mentioned that on the incident, the call for service, it's called the call for service, that under 911 calls, it says 9. And then in that report, the one that starts with 2016, there's a huge list of people that were there, including Tyka and Diane Frappier and all kinds of stuff. So it gets crazy, and we're going to get into it, but I can only tell you so much in one video. Anyway, Safe Script, Minnesota has this huge thing, but in this Prince Rogers Nelson death investigation, biggest of all time, guess what we're provided? It's called Health Information Designs, Inc. Top right. Health Information Designs, Inc. Isn't that fun, you guys? You see? And then it says Minnesota Query Report, because we're all so dull-brained that we can't research that Minnesota has a Safe Script program in which they'd have to run this through. First of all, but I'm not done yet. Please keep listening. You can look, and what it will say here, take a screenshot if you want. I hope that's helpful for you. Now, what they will tell you in the file is that this Minnesota query report by Health Designs, I'm sorry, it makes me laugh because this whole file is set up on LLCs and DBAs, and I'm going to share something with you too that should blow your mind. So they want us to believe that this query RX report is for the 14th, and that it provides us the information that they want us to believe that he got 15 Percocet from Dr. Schulenberg and the Tylenol 3 with codeine from Dr. Boo. And then they put that on there, and then they slap him on the wrist the 30 grand for providing the Percocet and saying, oh, you should have known better. But it was for a superstar, so it's okay. And this is the media. They'll eat it up. They'll love it. But then we go down here to the bottom, and we know he did much more than that. It's not funny, but I have to laugh because I don't know. Down here at the bottom, it says, these are the pharmacies that they say they got this query information from. I'm going to read it to you first. It says Walgreens Company, DBA, which is doing business as Walgreens 9511, the store code, 7845 Portland Avenue, South Bloomington, Minnesota. So you have Walgreens Company doing business as Walgreens at 7845 Portland Avenue in Bloomington. Now that one, that Bloomington, that's the one that the report says that there's video evidence of Kurt picking up in Bloomington. And Bloomington is also where Sean Powell's original address is from, his nephew that was living with him that had all the prescriptions found in the house that sold thereafter on Red Fox Circle. Keep up with the videos, y'all. Now, it gets worse. Under that, so they try to say probably that that's the one that provided the Percocet, and that's why they had Kirk on video or somebody on video. But we never get to see it. We only get to see this weird looking Prince person dressed in black and, pacing and whatever. So then it says Grand Street, Grand Street, St. Paul CVS, LLC, DBA CVS Pharmacy. And then it gives the store number at 7765 Galpin Avenue. Now, a couple of interesting things about that, you guys. Not only are they doing business as with LLCs, with pharmacies that provide narcotics under a health informations design Inc. instead of Safe Script, they're giving us information from a CVS pharmacy. The whole media case is sold on the Walgreens pharmacy, but the reason why they do that is to confuse and cause chaos. But as we've discussed, that's because we know that there are plentiful medications being prescribed in Kirk's name. And those would be like the vitamin D bottles that didn't have vitamin D in them, along with the Vitamin Shop vitamins that appeared as vitamin C. We've discussed it, and I could discuss it more, but I don't know if it's necessary at this point. That, you take a file huge like this, you guys, like I went and I checked all the video and the file says that there's video documentation on 414 of Kirk at 7845 Portland Avenue, Bloomington. And 4/20/16, he's seen on video at 4590 County Road. Both of those, Bloomington is the only one that's mentioned on here. The 4590 County Road, which is where they show the pacing video, where's that on your query? So you can tell that dirty deeds being done dirt cheap. I say dirt cheap because Phaedra, it's not dirt cheap, actually. I could share with you, Phaedra, I'm reaching for some paperwork, pardon me. Like I'm in your bubble, right? But before I get to Phaedra, I want to share with you guys some stuff that I did last night before I lose my thoughts even more. It's all real important. Because what I long to do is come here and sit and just tell you what I know based on just the whole thing, but then I lose my thoughts, so I have to write them down. So, of all the media stories, like on the 7th, I went back and tracked. I think it's really important to know, we're told that these concerts were canceled because there was a flu. Millions of people across the world are going to believe that, you know what I'm saying? But they're not going to take the time to read and hear these things. That some of it may be redundant, but I'm trying to put the pieces together for you. I mention these things, but when I find them in documentation, then I want to go back and read them to you because it's really important. This detective on 160-12559, line 9 says, I then made contact with Michael Todd Schulenberg at the scene. Schulenberg is a doctor at North Memorial Clinic, saw Prince the prior day. I asked Schulenberg if someone from here, where's here? Someone from here requested his presence, and he said no. Schulenberg said it was a complete coincidence and that he had showed up at Paisley Park to meet with Prince to discuss substance abuse treatment. How could something like this even be in the file when we already know that he confessed to having all these texts with Kirk and Phaedra and all these other things, but then he even has the cojones to say it was a complete coincidence? Not only that, I want to tell you this. It says, Schulenberg, he told me he met with Prince twice at the North Memorial Clinic. Schulenberg reported the first time he met with Prince was 4/7/2016, the day of the concerts that they canceled, right? That they want to sell us was the flu. Dig this. In this visit, Schulenberg met Prince at Paisley Park and then transported him to the clinic. Their words, not mine. Transported him is a pretty big deal. Whoever it was that he was transporting, but they don't tell us that. But it's also interesting that in his testimony, he said something about how his daughter had gymnastics over by Paisley Park at 6:45 or something to that effect. So that's how we know that they're cutting, slicing, and dicing the days, and they're trying to make us think that this whole big saga happened when it really, they knew what they were doing, but then they tried to sell us a story with all the information that they had available to them. So hopefully you're getting that gist. So anyway, he transported him and, transported him to the clinic. Schulenberg told me Prince's chief complaint, yada, yada, not feeling well and being nauseous. And so that's what I just wanted to say about the 7th. As much as we've talked about it, just to kind of hammer home these people, these clones, between the discrepancies in the book with Dan. They have, in here they have Phaedra paying all these bills. You guys, I wanted to talk about Renville first. What did I want to say? Oh, it's important to know. We were talking about all those burner phone things. I always say we. If Renville and Kim Pratt are the same person, that would really change the storyline of the 18th and 19th, and why nobody seems to know what was going on. And that was the last time that Prince was seen alive. There's all these things that nobody will tell you about me. But Renville, nobody knows who he was. You know what I'm saying? And they try to sell you that Judith Hill, Prince, and who was it? Oh, Judith Hill, Prince, and Kirk went to the concert on the 14th, or the 20th. Excuse me. No, the 14th. So they went to the concert on the 20th, and they didn't stop anywhere or do anything. But yet we have all these stories about all these, what do you call them, when you have a big conglomerate of people there? Anyway, this is what I'm trying to say. Renville Wellington, this detective said, I also located a cell phone number for Renville Wellington, blah, blah, blah. He identified himself as yada, yada. He also admitted that the burner Go phone number that communicated with Kirk Johnson in Atlanta, Georgia during Prince's last concert belonged to Renville. He confirmed that it belonged to Renville. Do you see how they talk about themselves as dual people? Renville told me that he used that number when he would work in the United States. I asked Renville, no, that's not important. Now, Renville told me in Atlanta there were only 2 bodyguards, he and Kirk Johnson, and they were in 2 different vehicles. It's important to know this because I asked Renville if he was the person who had checked the pilot Jason Gallus's cell phone for photos prior to departing the airport. Renville confirmed that he would have been the one to check the cell phone to make sure people were not photographing prior to leaving the airport. So where did Renville come from? Know what I'm saying? If it was supposed to be Kirk, Judith, and Prince. So I could go backtrack all that, but it wasn't part of the story today. But the point is they sneak him in. There's all the Canadian tour, all the bills that Phaedra pays, which I wanted to touch on here real quick because it's absurd. Dan was talking about something they did in January. I think it was January while he was there, or February, when he went to go do the book interviews, and they had like a little party. These bills where Marone, for instance, got paid $6,800 for 3 weeks work. There's a ton of money going to Kurt. Sorry, I know it's right here. On to Phaedra now. Here it is. One moment. Whoop. I know I jumped subjects, but this spreadsheet on 229. So the concert in Australia wasn't it 216 or one of the first concerts at Paisley Park after dark or something like that. Anyway, it was interesting when I was looking at the billing for 229, the outstanding invoices totaling 191,000, blah, blah, blah. It's interesting to know who they paid. Payment to attorneys, and this was February 29th. Payment to attorneys, an insurance company, a trailer rental company, audio company, an event planning company, a clothing store in Canada, $10,000 to Tyka Nelson, $6,800 to Marone Bacure. That was her pay from 213 to 226, it says. $9,200 for Kirk Johnson's KAJ Productions. You can see they're paying themselves. Isn't that fun? For reimbursement for Eclipse Global, and $1,500 to Peaceful Journey Executive Protection, Dante Butcher, for security, 226 to 228. And checking Prince's concert dates for that. It performed over the weekend at Paramount in Oakland, California. Now, that's interesting because that's around the time that the paperwork that Phaedra filed for the NPG Publishing was right around that time, with the address of 1611 Telegraph Road, Suite 600, Oakland, California. So they were out there. They were setting these things up. That was filed actually 2/4 of 16 for NPG Publishing. And that's the one where they used the email Diana at NPG Publishing. Dirty Diana. Dirty deeds, y'all. I'm telling you. Now also, wanted to tell you something else about her. About Phaedra, but I didn't put it in order. Well, there's lots of stuff about her, and I didn't really prepare myself for that. But everything that I come here and tell you guys, every single little thing, like, oh, here, I'm looking at my book, and it's open to the page where Dan is talking about the dance party. He said, I swear I don't do that on purpose. I just reconciled myself to a Saturday night alone in Chanhassen when Marone texted with a change of plans. There was to be a dance party at Paisley, followed by a move. This would have been the way I have it tracked in the book, Saturday, January 30th. The dance party, it turned out, was an employees-only affair. Marone, Trevor, 2 members of Third Eye Girl. That's page 23. And 2 musicians from Prince's newest recording project, the bassist Mono Neon and the saxophonist Adrian Crutchfield. Candles, DJ Kiss, blah, blah, blah. It says, hold on, this is relevant for a reason. Oh, okay. And then it said, blah, blah, blah. He described the club. And then he said, there were whispers that Prince might join us that night on the dance floor, such as it was, but he never appeared. Instead, Marone slipped off, holding a bundle of our coats, and announced that it was time for the movie. And then after the movie started, they were watching Kung Fu Panda 3 at the nearby Chanhassen Cinema. Now, that's where it was said, I think, in the media, or maybe even while I was a listener, and during the 38 years I listened, I had heard that Prince would rent out movie theaters and watch movies. But like he would talk about Barbarella and Nemo. Those are the ones that I remember about in particular. This one says Kung Fu Panda 3 at the Chanhassen Cinema. But the interesting thing, too, is Kim Pratt, Renville, whoever that is, says on the 19th that they went to the Edina Theater, which is a real convenient all lie in, isn't it? Where a bunch of people could get together and do some things all in one room, or there's a bunch of executive chairs sitting around and a stage to do things on, and just saying. Listen, Dan, as he goes through this book, if you haven't read it, there's a lot of interesting tidbits. And I think that he was very smart. And I think that he knew what he was doing when he wrote this book, because he threw down a bunch of tidbits that, I don't know, maybe he doesn't know he did it on purpose, that if you read it, and to be honest, I was so gung-ho to get this book, you guys. I got this book. I have 2 of them. Tore it up. If you look at it on the front, if you guys take it and you look at it, you know how those weird little prints are on it? They're like little alien prints where you would dust off and blow stuff off and find treasures in there. And that's what I thought when I got it. It was like Willy Wonka Golden Ticket. But then I was like, man, this book is weird. And it doesn't seem like Prince at all. That's what I thought when I got it. And I've never read the whole thing. I just skimmed it. It got a little weird. And I knew that there was a reason for it. And I started seeing in early 2020, this is the newer one, so it doesn't have the things in it, but I started seeing all kinds of alien things in it. And like I said, I saw a bunch of eyes in it. I saw a bunch of tripped out stuff coming from this book, but one thing this book isn't, and that is a example of who, at least I know, that I came to know and love as Prince Rogers Nelson, as the musician that I watched and loved for all these years. This book does not represent him in any way. And I felt totally disconnected from the book. And if you guys do too, maybe that's why. The thing is, I'm starting to realize and starting to remember too a lot of things, and being told, obviously, by the creator, he's nudge, nudge. It's just hard to remember everything at once. That when I was in that life after life place, he told me, as the creator, that part of the reason that he never exposed himself and any other generation either was because either there was nobody to do it properly, I believe. Yes, was the answer. Or nobody to do it without taking credit for it or something like that, and not introducing him properly, which is so weird to me. But then he told me that that's why I am who I am, and that's why I died in 2010, and that, coincidentally, the year he had chip surgery, and, I'm going to try to stay on track. He said that he needed somebody to give all this information to, somebody that would share it because they want the world to know it, and moreover, because they want the world to know him, the creator. And so this is the plan, you guys. It's to show you who he is. So even though I don't always remember it clearly, and like I said, I have to put the pieces together too, because that's part of the fun. What would it be? How much fun would life be if you were given all the answers? That's what I always said when I would pray and you think that you're not being answered, or, I always try to have a sense of humor about it, because Because how much fun would life be if you were given all the answers and you didn't have the opportunity to look for them through trial and error? Nobody's supposed to be perfect. I don't know who told you have to be something by the time you're 20 or by the time you're 30 or by the time you're this or by the time you're that. As long as you're being a good soul and telling the truth and doing what you're led to do, and I know people experience a lot of family pressure and religious pressure and all kinds, but this is the time, you guys, this is the time to, whether through me or through, whoever else, to really experience our Creator, because he's trying to make himself available and to be known. And that's why he gave me this information, because it's part of the plan to expose him in a clear and, well, eventually clear and precise manner, because what better way? Okay, I know it's hard to wrap your mind around. I get it. But wrap your mind around it for a second. Close your eyes. Prince Rogers Nelson, the one the world saw sing, dance, play, dress up, juke on Jay Leno, sexiest man alive. Just all of those things, all of the music, all of the giving, all of the kindness, all of the symphonies, all of the lyrics that taught us how many things, and wrap your mind around the fact that that is how he gave himself to us. Okay. And when I was there, he told me that the others, Warner Brothers, Kingdom Hall, KKK, MK Ultra, that they want to let him go face down as a washed up singer, and that we needed to have a plan to expose him as who he really was, and to have a person that loved him enough to expose him and not themselves to do that. And so that's also what I'm doing. So I need a drink. It's going to be something. And the more you guys can come to know, to do your own research, even within the lyrics, because when I say do your own research, it's cool. Come here and watch my channel, learn these things, share the videos. But more than that, you have to understand that all this is being given to me for you, so that we can come to know him. And I don't know what else I can do to convince you or tell you that this, I can tell you lots of things, and I will continue to tell you, as I always say. Like, if anybody would really just say, hey, we want to know this, or this, ask me a question. I'll answer it. I don't mean to be, it's just, I will, because there's nothing that isn't exposed to me in these files. And if I pray on something and the Creator wants me to know it, well, then by golly, he'll tell me. But if he doesn't want me to know it, then I'm going to continue to search for it, because nobody's given anything on a silver platter. And who are you to think that you should receive anything on a silver platter, as they say? Man, hard work builds character. Character is who you are when no one is looking. It's on my Facebook. I instilled it in my children. I've made my slip ups, you know what I mean? But deep down, same thing I said in my life after life, you guys, which is when I keep talking about my life after life, I say that because even if these videos didn't involve Prince or this or that, and I just came to try to teach people that God is standing there waiting with a sense of humor, with love, with open arms. But also you have to know that the way the world has been sold on Old Man Johnson's 3:16, this is what happens in our world. The whole world, religiously, Christians have become complacent, wet noodles, ramen noodles, flaccid. And it's not their fault. It's because the way that religion was sold, and that sold and murdered into people's lineage, is that this one Jesus came and he died for all your sins, and because that you are going to be A-okay, and you can have sex with your pastor and go to church just to meet ladies and go home and spank your children and smack them all around and expect them not to get their little Easter clothes dirty because you don't know how to treat them, God forbid. I'm just saying, some things that I've seen at churches are some of the ugliest things that I've ever seen. And that's because of the way it was sold. And that's not what the Creator is about. He's there to listen to you with honesty, open arms, yes, there will be judgment. And yes, you're what do they call them? It's like the movie. Here I go with my movies. The movie Ghost. It's one of my favorite movies. And everybody loves Patrick Swayze. Where the bad guys die and those dark shadows come and take the bad guy from the train, or the bad guy that, from the movie away. When you're there in Judgment Day and in that afterlife situation, those inclination, those shadowy husks of bad things that you did around in your life, if you did bad things, lying, stealing, cheating, from the big to the little, they're going to come with their accusations of all the things that you did and that you lied about. But because in Christianity, you were taught that Jesus died for those sins and that you're okay because you confessed it once on John 3:16 in the Bible, which is a testament of not the Torah. It's Old Man Johnson's farm, and that's how they want it, because they want you complacent. They want you feeling like a sinner. They want you feeling ashamed. They want you feeling like you can't, but yet at the same time, complacent enough to just sit and wait on some dude that went to heaven to prepare a place for you. No, I'm here to tell you he didn't. There is no place prepared for you. You will earn your way there or you won't go. You don't even get to talk to the Creator without a certain amount of righteousness and truth and honesty. And I don't know if everybody's going to see him at the same time, on Redemption Day or whatever, or if, I just know everybody's lives are going to be exposed, you guys. And I was there, and I'm trying to save you guys a lot of embarrassment, and also bring you a lot of joy at the same time, because I've been both good and bad, but I've been way more good than bad, I think. And, if I'm lying, then the Creator only will judge me when I get there again. But I'm always talking about the plan, the breakdown. You guys have seen by now, if you go back and watch some of their videos, it's always interesting, even for me, to remember how I felt on 4/21/2016, because like Kirk was getting a bunch of incoming texts. I too got a bunch of incoming texts, and nobody told me who they were talking about. Oh, I'm so sorry, Elizabeth. I hope you're okay. And I'm like, what is going on? Because nobody said Prince, because they all assumed I knew. But my point is, I wrote that breakdown Facebook post that said it's no flu is the breakdown, more to come, etc. at 1:32. I knew, you guys, but it was him telling me even then, because I remembered the plan even then from 2010. I just didn't remember it as clearly. And golly, I spent a lot of time crying yesterday because of all my isolation during this experience, which is where I need to be doing all of this. It brings clarity, and it brings a lot of things to my mind that I want to come here and share with you guys, and they're so awesome. And then I can't think about them when I come to sit down, and then I start talking about the case, and then I lose all those thoughts and those epiphanies that I had overnight and in my dreams and in my crying and praying. But really, I just want to reiterate, you guys, that I told him that that I don't care how many people watch these videos, just so long as the people that do watch them, that feel something, share them with somebody else. Because, like I said, people are pretty quiet about what they think about them, and I understand, but I'm trying to help, and I can't help if you don't speak, if you don't ask questions. I've kind of earned my way here by having all this knowledge given to me, and I want to share it with you guys. I don't want to keep it to myself. So, ask your dang questions. I'm serious. I know people are interested in that. I know the egg video is exciting and titillating. I know this whole thing is. I don't know why people are acting like it's not. The only thing I can think of is, what's being told to me now. And that is that as part of the plan, I was also told that let me just say this first. Ever since the spring of 2020, I feel like this. I feel like there was my life, and then in came the spring of 2020. And I feel like I put my head down on my desk. My son was out of school. And then bam, everybody I knew was out of my life. Wasn't eating, drinking, thinking, doing anything. And it was like I woke up in a different world. So sometimes it's like either I'm walking in some other kind of parallel universe or everybody else is, and I'm the only one that's awake. I don't know. And I'm not like saying that to be insulting. I'm not. I mean, in this realm, because I know how deep it is. And that's why I am basically begging you to listen. But because whether it happens next week, this summer, June 6th, 2022, all the gematria, the dates, they're beyond me. That's for the creator to decide. He's going to expose himself as he sees fit and based on what we do and what we deserve, I'm sure. I just want you guys to be ready when he exposes himself, and I'm going to continue to rip this evidence to shreds so that you can see it's part of the plan on how he said he was going to expose himself so that he can be recognized, because there'll be no denying what I'm saying as far as the investigation. And the world one day will sit up and start to pay attention that those I think it was January 21st. I have to look it up. January 21st of 2021, or last year in January, I think it was. Might have been a different month. The Pope actually it might have been June, made a call for our intellectual property. I may have mentioned that before, but I saw it in one of my screenshots the other day, and that like totally disgusts me. If you don't know what that means, that has to do with this whole file, your intellectual property being who you are, you know what I'm saying, RFID chip, all that stuff. But if you don't know that, go look it up. It's why the powers were able to use, given this intellectual property of the creator, to do what they did during this time. It all goes back to the music, Little Richard and all those white people in the background sitting around clapping, you know what I mean? It was for music, and it was for money. And even part of this is for money, I'm sure. But that's okay. I know my lines, and I'm ready to play the part. The next close encounter, will it be on land or near the water? Will it produce the sun or the black moon daughter? There's a reason why he sang lyrics like that, you guys. It's a reason. I'm going to get those witness lists together. I don't know. Do some more fun stuff today. I'm not sure what. Like I said, please let me know what you want to hear. Sorry I look around like that. It happens. Share the video is all I can say. Hashem will bless us all if you listen and pray and be good and tell the truth.